This is the Classlink Refresher. And as a reminder, I'm going to announce to you that we are recording this session. All right, so thanks for joining us. There you go. So now you should see. So that's a good question. Can we film ourselves explaining our norms? Yes, you can have that, but you would have to still show that film at the beginning of all of your sessions. So you would still have to share your screen and just have the video do that at the beginning of your session. So you can either have a Google slide up where you have that showing, or you can either say it, or you can have a video and tap the video to play. So yeah, there's lots of options. Very cool. All right, so taking a look here, I'm going to log out of Classlink here, so we'll start fresh. But before we even get to Classlink, where I want to guide you to, and I'm going to open up a new tab here. I'm going to go to the PSD website, the Palmdale School District website. Okay, and from the Palmdale School District website, I want you to know that we've added a new Learning from Home website. And so your parents and your students can learn a little bit more about the learning from home by clicking on this link that says Learning from Home. Now, I do understand that it doesn't look like a link when you first go to the website. It's not underlined, it's not highlighted. It doesn't have a different color, so sometimes it's really hard to recognize that that's a link until you hover your mouse over it, and then you'll see it turns into a link. So guide your parents to the site and tell them to click on the Learning from Home link, and that will take them to our website, the Learning at Home website. And we've put up information in here that your parents will be able to use. And do know that anything that's written in text on the page is translated. Google will allow translation of this site in text, but we've also written a lot of it in Spanish and English. And then, but some of these documents that are embedded are not in Spanish and English, and we're updating those as quickly as we can to get them out there in Spanish and English. And you'll notice we have links here and also at the top for online learning guidelines, Chromebook requests, and internet services. By the way, I'm going to verbally tell you this. Right now, the Chromebook requests are just for grades 2 through 4, but that does not mean that we won't get devices out to our younger students. We will expand to our K1s. It's just that right now, we don't have the manpower. We have a lot of people out right now, and they're at home. And it's been a little bit difficult for us and tech services to get the content together and to get the items together to get out to parents. And by the way, we have the restriction as well as that parents can't all come and congregate at your school site at the same time. So we can't ask them to just come and line up and check out a Chromebook. We have to schedule times for them to come in and get Chromebooks. So we will get them out to the younger students, but please help us and help parents understand they need to be patient. We're going as fast as we can given the circumstances. So anyway, on the back to the online learning guidelines, we have some information in here, and these are just general things. And then these are helpful steps for learning at home, so your parents can scroll through and learn how to log into Classlink. They can learn how to log into Google Classroom. And there's a nice video tutorial even embedded in here so that parents can watch the tutorial. And they can even learn how to join a Google Meet, although we're not going to be using Google Meet a lot. I know some teachers will use it, but mostly we're going to guide you to go to Zoom. And so with that, I'm going to go back over to Classlink. And do know, sorry, from the homepage here, you can go to Classlink. The link is right here. It's cl.palmdalesd.org. So there's a link right here for your parents and students to link out to Classlink. The link is also available in the Palmdale School District on the home website. If you go to online services, there's a link here to Classlink. So that's two ways to get to Classlink. You could memorize cl.palmdalesd.org, which isn't hard because CL stands for Classlink. And then it's palmdalesd.org, which we all remember. Or you could bookmark it, so when you get to the Classlink website, you could, if you are on a Mac, I could actually just drag this down into my bookmarks down here, or I can go to my bookmarks and I can add this to my bookmarks. There are lots of things you can do to make sure that you get to the Classlink website or start page. Okay, so just guide your students here. The other thing I want you to guide your students and parents for is this document right here. It's really important. It says Classlink directions to install at home. This is really, really important. It's probably the #1 issue we're having with kids trying to log in to Classlink at home right now. And if you click on this link, it takes you out to a page that describes to you when you're at home what you need to do to install the Classlink extension into your Chrome browser. And why that is important. So let me explain the difference. You know, when we sent Chromebooks home with kids a couple of years ago, we didn't worry about them installing the Classlink browser, because as soon as you log into a Chromebook, what happens is a Chromebook automatically logs you into Google and it automatically logs you into Chrome, both Google and Chrome is the browser. So no problem. As soon as you log in, boom, it's done. And what happens then is from the school district, what we did was we forced this Classlink extension out to the students based on their Palmdale SD usernames and passwords. And so as soon as they logged onto a Chromebook, that Classlink extension was automatically forced out to them. But now they're at home and they're using different devices. They might be using a phone, they might be using a tablet, they might be using a desktop computer. And if they're using those devices, the Classlink extension is not being forced out to them because they're using a personal device. And so if they're not logged in to their PSD account, they really need to add this Classlink extension at home. And what the Classlink extension does, it is not an application. So don't think you're going to be able to click on it and launch Classlink. That's not how it works. It saves your passwords into your Chrome browser. So when the kids go to click login, you know, or they log into Classlink, all of their passwords will be saved on that home computer. So this is what the Classlink extension looks like on your browser. It's this little tiny blue icon right here. And to find the Classlink extension, and by the way, as a teacher, you should do this as well. If you're working from home, you should install the Classlink extension. And to do that, you would simply open a new tab, just Google in the Chrome Web Store, and it'll find it for you, the Chrome Web Store. And when you're in the Chrome Web Store, you just have to search for Classlink. And I'm just going to click enter, and here it is, the Classlink one-click extension. That will install that to their browser at home. And again, it does nothing else, but it reminds the browser to save their passwords. Okay? So I know that it's one more step, and it can seem a little complicated for kids, but they only have to do it once, and their parents only have to help them to do that once. And then from that point forward, their passwords will be saved at home as well. Okay, so I've got a question here, I think, or something in the chat. So despite directing my parents to the tech website to help them log into Classlink, I have so many who say they cannot get in. I teach first grade, yes. So here's our struggle. We know that probably a lot of our kinder and first grade teachers have not been using Classlink with their students. So this is going to make it even harder for you because your students have already not logged into Classlink at school, and now you're trying to guide your little tiny children to log in at home, and they don't even have your help, right? So if you want, you could always create like a little, tomorrow there's a Screencastify session, by the way, and you might want to attend that because you could do a little voiceover and click and show parents and students how to do exactly what I'm showing you how to do, and that will help them get into Classlink that first time. Remember, their first time login to Classlink is they have to have their username and password. And so that's also on this document here. It tells them their general usernames and passwords. So their general username for Google, to log into Google, is their student ID. It's a 9-digit student ID, followed by the @palmdalesd.org. So here's an example, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 @palmdalesd.org. And then their standard password is their 8-digit birth date. So here's the example, 02/04/2001. So if they have leading zeros in their birth date, they would need the 0 in front of that. So if it's February 4th, it would be 02/04. And then 2001. You don't need any hyphens or digits or slashes or anything like that, just the digits, okay? So that's the standard Google login. The standard Active Directory login is all of this except, and it explains it down here, it's the same 9-digit ID, only without the @palmdalesd.org. So all of those will stay the same. So if you're a teacher that's trying to help your kids get into Classlink for the first time, you're going to need to go to Infinite Campus, and you're going to have to collect their 9-digit ID, and you're going to have to collect their birth date and write those down somewhere. And then when you contact your students, you're going to have to send them their 9-digit ID, and you're going to have to send them their birth date because they're tiny people and they may not remember their birth date, or they may not know all 8 digits of their birth date. They're little people. So contact your parents and have them help their student get onto Classlink for the first time. That is going to take a little more work for those of you that haven't done that yet. So yes, their ID is in Infinite Campus. So in Infinite Campus, you can look at any student's profile and their student ID is there. It's a 9-digit ID, okay? All right, so going back to Classlink, so this is going to help, again, this website, get your parents to go to here and find the directions to install at home, and that will help them to install that little Classlink password agent onto their browser at home, and it will save their passwords. Now, to get to Classlink, you can type in cl.palmdalesd.org. So CL for Classlink, sorry, .palmdalesd.org, and then click enter, and that will take you to the Classlink login page. So if you're following along with me now at home, go ahead and do that on your computer or your screen at home. And if students cannot get into Classlink, will they still be able to access Benchmark? And the answer is no. The only way for them to get into Benchmark is for them to log in through Classlink. We don't have an external app. All the apps are together in Classlink. So we do have on this Learn at Home page, we do have a link here to Benchmark, but it is still going to prompt students to log in. And if they don't go through Classlink, do you see all this stuff? It's still going to prompt them. And it might be, I'm not quite sure what their usernames and passwords are in Benchmark. It might be their 9-digit student ID. It might be their birth date. I don't know. I'm thinking it probably is. But that's not going to be of much help unless they know their usernames and passwords. Whereas in Classlink, their usernames and passwords are already there. Okay, it's already on the site. And why couldn't you post a YouTube on the website guiding them? Well, we could, but we've given the written directions instead. So we're hoping that they'll follow these written directions, and I'm having these translated into Spanish as we speak about it right now. So hopefully the parents will click here and see the directions and be able to follow the directions. And I think it's easier myself to look at the written directions and then try to do it on my computer than to try to follow YouTube while I'm on my computer. I don't know. We can always discuss later. Okay, so for Classlink, you're on the home screen here. If you have never logged into Classlink before and many of your students have never logged in before, you will log in with the first part of your Palmdale emails. So for me, it's my first initial, middle initial, my last name. You do not do the @palmdalesd.org because this is what we call your Active Directory login. So it is your same login that you use to log into your computer every day. So it would be your first initial, middle initial, your last name. Then you're going to use that same password that you use to log in to your computer every day. So it's your Active Directory password. You will click the light blue sign in button once you enter this information here, not the sign in with Google, because I'm going to show you in just a moment when we get in, I'm going to show you how to link your Google account. But if you've never linked your Google account before, then you won't be able to click sign in with Google here. It won't work. Okay? So your first time signing in, I'm going to say it again, and this is for your students as well. They will be putting their 9-digit student ID in here. Something like that, but not the @palmdalesd.org. And then they will also be entering their 8-digit birth date. So if it's 0204 2001 or 0204 2001, okay, that is what they would enter here. And then they will click sign in. All right. And if you followed me so far, you should be able to sign into your Classlink. And it should look similar to what I am seeing. Okay? So my screen probably has a lot more stuff on it than yours. And I've got it organized in different ways. And we'll go through all of that in just a few minutes. I'll show you how to organize your page. I will show you how to set up your icons. Mine are circles, yours might be squares. I'll show you all of that, how to personalize your page, okay? But to begin with, the first thing I want to do is to show you how to link your Google account to Classlink. I think that's one of the most important things you can do to get started. So over here, I actually already have a picture up here. You might have a little shadowy head up here. So in the upper right corner, you'll see the little down arrow next to your shadowy head or your picture. I would like you to click that down arrow. And if you click the down arrow, you will see it says My Profile. So click on My Profile. Okay? And so you get some general information here. You can change your picture, which I did. You can choose, you can upload a picture if you want, or you can choose some of these goofy pictures in here. I found one that I thought, celebrity photo that looked more like me than others. But you can just choose one of these goofy pictures if you want, or upload your own image if you wish. Okay? All right. So the next, and by the way, this is just your general information here, and it remains the same. It should already be plugged in for you. Palettes and colors. If I choose a different color, then what it's going to do is sort of change the top part of my screen to be a dark color instead of a light color. But it really doesn't change much. But I'm going to go ahead and choose the pink so that you can see everything over here turns pink and these things turn pink. It doesn't change a lot, though. It changes the little banner at the top of your screen and these words here. Not a lot. I'm going to show you what password locker means. Every single app that you have in your Classlink that you have added has a password attached to it. Not all of them. Some of them are not password protected at all. Some of them are just links, and I'll tell you the difference about that in just a little bit. But what if you changed your password? What if at some point you went to ClassFlow and you changed your password, and then you keep coming back to Classlink and you're trying to click in and you go, oh no, I can't click in because my password in ClassFlow was changed and it's remembering my old password. Well, that's where you're going to go here to your profile and go to the password locker and change your password here. So if I click edit, it's going to let me edit my password here. So I'm not going to do that because I have not changed any of my passwords, and I don't want to change them because then it would lock me out. But just do know, if you have any other site where you've changed your password on that site, you do need to come into Classlink and change your password locker, okay? Because all those passwords are stored here. And that's why they call it locker. Think about it like a gym locker, right? Or anything. It's where you put all the stuff to hold it for a while, okay? So it's holding your passwords. Auto launch is a really nice feature, but I'm going to show you another way to do auto launch that I think is a little more convenient for you. But you can auto launch apps, and what that does is when you choose to auto launch, it means that every time I open Classlink, it will automatically open these extra tabs. So if I'm a StudySync teacher, then every morning when I come in and I open Classlink and I want StudySync to auto launch, then it will automatically auto launch StudySync, and it means it will add a tab up here and auto launch StudySync for me. Okay, it's a kind of a convenient thing to have happen. I want you, this is the most important part of this site. This is called sign in options. Okay, so there are a couple things you can do here. If you are not connected, you should be automatically to your LDAP Active Directory. It should automatically be connected. So there really isn't much you need to do here. If you click Update, you can actually change your Active Directory password here. And so that, if you wanted to do that, if you wanted to change that password you log into your computer every day with, you could actually change your password here. I don't recommend it because sometimes people will do that and then they forget what they changed their password to, and then they get locked out. But if you really feel like you need to change your Active Directory password, maybe it's been compromised in some way, then you can change it right here in Classlink. The more important piece of this is you will see I have a disconnect button next to Google. If you see a button that says connect, I absolutely need you to click on the button that says connect. And what that will do is it will connect your Google account to Classlink. So if you see a connect button, I want you to click on the connect button right now. You may get a window that pops up that says sign in to Google or authenticate your Google password or something like that. And if you do, go ahead and enter your Google password. And that should connect your Google account to Classlink. Now, why is that important? I'm going to show you exactly why that's important here. I'm going to log out of Classlink. And why is that important? Because as soon as you teach your kids how to do that, or as soon as you do that, you no longer have to enter your Active Directory username and password here. You can click sign in with Google, and it will log you into your Classlink account. So that, again, that is located in the upper right corner near your little shadowy head. Click the arrow down, click My Profile, go to Sign In Options, and make sure you connect your Google account. Now, earlier I had a question for somebody said, do you have YouTube or videos for this? We actually do, and I'm going to send you or share with you in a bit a document that has all of the Classlink tutorials linked to it. And so we have a tutorial from Steve that shows you how to connect your Google account, for example. And we have a tutorial from me that shows you how to add more applications, and it's all on this one PDF. So I will share that out en masse to our PSD certificated staff again later today. So you will have access to those videos as well. You probably already received it many months ago, and in fact, probably a year ago or whenever. You know, we do put those out regularly, but you might, you know, it's been a long time. So we'll put it out again just so you have access to all of that stuff again. Okay? I said to connect to Google, not disconnect, because if you disconnect, then it disconnects your Google account. So we want the Google account to be connected. So if it says disconnect, leave it alone. That means your Google account is already connected. So if you're on an iPad, you should still see it in the same way. You should still be able to access your profile from the corner here, and you should still see the sign-in option. So if you're still having issues with iPad, when we're done, what we'll do is we'll stay on the line, and I'll walk you through the iPad directions here after we're done with this session. So I'm going to scroll down this to the next option on the left now that we've done the connecting to Google. And the next one is password recovery setup. And if you want to include an email address or somewhere where you can set your password recovery, I have put some password recovery questions in here. That's an option for you. And you can do that. It's really, you're probably not going to need it, because if at some point you forget your Classlink password, then your site tech can help you set it back up. It's your Active Directory, or just click login with Google. So I doubt you're going to need it. And then analytics will open a new tab. And what will happen is over here on the new tab, it just shows you how often you are using Classlink and what your most used apps are and that kind of thing. So it gives you some analytics for yourself, like how often you are using it, what your logins are, your login records, etc. I actually also have these analytics from the school district, so I can see across the district which apps are being used most often and which ones are being used least often. So you don't have to use the analytics. It's not really important. So I'm going to go ahead and close that tab and go back to Classlink. It's this tab over here. All right, so we've looked through all of these menu options here, and the most important one being sign-in options that we already did. And so I'm going to click the X in the upper right corner to close this window, and it will take me back to Classlink. Now notice I changed my color palette to bright pink, so it changed my banner at the top, and all of my folders are surrounded by that bright pink. But that's pretty much all it really does, is it just kind of changes the banner. Okay, so I'm going to now show you how to add folders and organize your Classlink homepage. You will see that I have folders up here, and I also have apps down here. Now, yours might look the same because they're probably all squares. But to edit these, I'm going to click the little edit icon right here. It's a pencil and paper. And whenever you see a pencil icon, that usually means edit. So I'm going to click the pencil icon, and it takes me into editing mode. And so that gray bar pops up at the top of your screen. And in the gray bar, I will see icon style, which you can do squares or circles, and that's pretty much it. I like to make mine circles because I like my folders to be squares and my apps to be circles. It's just visually easier for me. Icon size, you can choose small, you can choose medium, you can choose large. I prefer the medium. It's about the right size for me, but you can choose your size. You can choose font size, again, small, medium, and large. And I'll stick with my medium. Again, you have the color palette, so I'm bright pink, but I can change it to green here if I want. Or I can change it to purple or back to blue, whatever your preference is. And then you have wallpaper, which is kind of nice. I like the wallpaper because you get to choose a background. And this is great because you get to personalize your space and your kids get to personalize their space as well. The good news about wallpaper is there's about 3 or 4 dozen wallpapers that are already preloaded by Classlink, and that's the only choice you get. I say that's good news. You know why? Because then your kids aren't loading their own backgrounds. So these are all very appropriate backgrounds, and they're okay to use. But it's also nice because you get to sort of make your space a little more personal. So pick a background. This one seems very relaxing. Maybe I'm going to choose the ocean background because maybe I'm wishing that I could be at the ocean. That would be very nice. So go ahead and scroll through the wallpapers a little bit and choose a background. I'm going to take you back on the gray bar to create. And you will see that you have an option here to create a new app or to add a folder. We'll come back to new app in just a moment. I want you to click new folder. And by the way, you can delete these when you're done, so you don't have to save them. So if you create a folder with me and you don't like it, you can always delete it. So I'm going to choose a color of a folder, perhaps one that I don't have a color of. And I'm going to enter a name of a folder. And I'm just going to call this short Miss for miscellaneous. Maybe I have apps. You'll see I have a Google folder, and I have a Classlink folder, and a curriculum folder, and an assessment folder, and all kinds of folders. You can make folders like that if you want and put all of your apps in folders, or you can just leave all of your apps out onto the main screen. It's your choice. I'm going to create this folder, and I'm going to click Save. And it adds this folder over here on the left. Now, while I am in editing mode, let's say I created this folder earlier and I don't like it, and while I'm in editing mode, I don't need this folder anymore. So I'm going to take this app out of this folder. And I don't need this folder anymore, so I'm just going to click the X. This red X in the upper right corner will delete that folder. And I can delete any of the folders that I've made. And while I'm in editing mode, I can actually click on an app and move it wherever I want it to go. Oops, I just dropped it onto another one and it made a folder, and I didn't mean to do that. Oops, let me undo that. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to force that back out again. Apologies. So that's another way to create a folder, is to click and drag on top. So it's sort of like an iPad if you think about it that way, where if you're on your iPad, if you click, and I'm going to X that out, if you grab icons and you drag them on top of other icons, it automatically makes a folder for you. Or you can choose new folder. Okay? To add an app into a folder, same thing. You grab it and you drop it onto the folder. So the folder will turn another color. Like for me, it's green because that's my color. It might be blue for you. And then just drop it in and it will add to that folder. You can rename your folder at any time that you want. You can edit the folder. You can click to go into the folder. And if I don't want this app inside of this folder anymore, I can click the up arrow and it will remove it from the folder and put it out to the main screen again. Okay? So that's how a folder works and how you can organize your apps into folders. If I want to move an app and I don't like its location, I can click it and drag it to another location and it will move. I'm going to delete this folder because I don't need it. I have enough folders, but you can see I've dropped a lot of apps into my folders. Works out great. Okay, and that's just for you to stay organized. If you don't want folders, you don't have to have folders. Now there's another option here called New App, and you can create a new app from here, or you can also create it from the plus sign. Either way will work, and I'm actually going to show you how to do that from the plus sign because I'm also going to show you the libraries here in just a moment. If we have any questions about what's going on here so far, why don't you go ahead and put it in the chat right now. We'll pause for a second to answer any questions. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward then. We don't have any questions. And so what I'm going to do now that I've done some of this editing here and I've moved some stuff around and I've made some pretty folders, I'm going to click the X to get out of editing mode. So to be in editing mode again, you click the pencil. To get out of editing mode, you click the X. Simple. All right, now we're going to go up to the plus symbol, which is next to the Palmdale SD logo. And the plus symbol is the app library. And you will see the Palmdale School District Library, the student library, and the teacher library. Please know that the student library is locked. What that means is students cannot add their own apps. They are not allowed to add their own links. They are not allowed to add their own apps. They can go to the library and add anything that we have already pushed out to them in the library. I can go, by the way, this is not all there is in the library. As you scroll down, you will see we have page 1, page 2, page 3. So I can go to page 2 and see more apps in the library, and I can go to page 3 and see more apps in the library. Now, I do want to caution you. What happens often is a lot of teachers and students will go, oh, look, Writing City, it's here, let's use that. Well, unless your school site has the paid version of Writing City, then that will not work for you. So your kids could add it to their homepage, but they'll click and it'll ask them for a login and it won't authenticate them through. So unless your school site has purchased some of these apps, they will not work anyway. So, but Imagine Learning is in here, and you can add Imagine Learning, or you could add Kahoot. If at some point later on, you would like your students to have access to an app that you think all the students across the district might want to have, then go ahead and send those to me. And what I do is I preview the apps and I make sure that they're safe for kids. But most of these apps are based on the ones that are approved through the district already. So those are the ones that we add into the student library. But if you have, maybe you want them to go to a dictionary website or that you think would be really beneficial, then we can always add those in here. Again, I have to preview them to make sure there aren't ads or it's not a paid service, and that it's not there are no inappropriate links for students on that site before we add it for students. So when it comes to students, we take the kind of the strict step of making sure that whatever sites we guide them to are safe for them to go to, especially since all of our students, or most of our students, sorry, are under the age of 13 and they are under the age of consent by the laws of the United States. So they can't really sign up. Good question. What does non-SSO web link mean? So you'll see some of these things that says non-SSO. That means non-single sign-on. So in other words, it's just a web link. So if I make a link in here, it's not going to authenticate the student into ClassDojo. They'll still have to enter an authentication to get into ClassDojo. If it says form post with extension, it will launch and the student will be able to enter their username and enter their password, and then Classlink will save it into the password locker. And if it says, if it's locked, like this one is, it means that we've pushed it out to the students and we've locked the username and password based on our, on the back end. We've added their usernames and passwords for them. So we have kind of 3 or 4 different kinds of links or apps in here. Really, this part is not important, and I kind of wish we'd go through and take that out because I don't think the students really need to know it's a form post with extension. But Classlink sort of just adds that on when we create these apps. So there isn't much we can do about that. So when students log into Classlink at home, will they have to sign into Google Classroom again if they have logged in at school? No. So Classlink is the starting place. If they've already used Google Classroom at school, as soon as they log into Classlink at home, it'll take them right through to Google Classroom again. No login required. Okay, so Classlink really is the starting pad for all of your students and for you. All right, so for you as a teacher, you can go to the teacher library and we have some preloaded things for you. So if you see things in here that you like, that you want to add, I would highly recommend you do that. Here's one that I think you might want to add. It's called Eureka Math. And this one's a pretty cool one. We just found it the other day. And what this one does, I'll click out of here real quick and show you the Eureka Math one. It takes you into, so we have Great Minds, right? A lot of you are using Great Minds for Eureka Math, and that's a great site. But this one I think is almost better than Great Minds, and I'll show you why. Because if I go to grade 4 and I pick a module, and this is really nice because they have it organized by problem sets, homework, exit tickets, and assessments, even nicer than what we see in Great Minds. And if I go to homework and I choose a homework lesson, look what happens, folks. Ah, this is so cool. There's a button here that says add to Google Classroom, and what this will do is it'll automatically add this homework assignment into your Google Classroom. And what your students will do is they will check these things and say, I did this, I drew it on my paper at home. Type your answer here. It gives them an answer field for them, which normally on Great Minds you have all this stuff, but they're only PDFs, and your kids cannot interact with those PDFs. And so now this gives you a really nice option. So that's a little bird walk, but I wanted to show you that that was pretty cool, and you might want to add, again, I'm going to go to my plus sign and go to the teacher library. You might want to add this one that says Eureka Math. It's a pretty cool site. Take a look at it. You also will probably want to use Zearn if you haven't started using Zearn with your students. It's a good online math program for grades K-5 or K-6 for dual immersion programs. So go through your teacher library and take a look at other things and add what you want to add. But also, what I want to remind you of is up here in the upper right, you're going to see a button that says add your own app. And this is a really cool feature because this allows you to add your own links to your own shortcuts to your own web pages that you like to go to very often. So go ahead and click on that blue button that says add your own app. And then I'll walk you through this. So good question about Zoom. I notice Zoom has an on SSO. Is that what students use? And I'm going to say this, hopefully you all are attending a Zoom session today. We had 3 of them going. The one was earlier today, one is going on right now, another will be later today. In the Zoom session, you will learn that students will not use the Zearn app, and they will not use a Google Meet app. And don't encourage your students, please, to go home and get a Zoom account because they are too young. They are under the age of 18, and Zoom says only adults can have a Zoom account. Do not encourage your students to do that, nor will we push out the app to students through Classlink. They don't need the app to go to your Zoom meeting. Just like we put the link to our Zoom meetings in that Google Doc, and you guys just click the link to come to this Zoom meeting, you didn't have to have an app to go to Zoom. You can put the link to your Zoom meetings in your Google Classroom or in your Hapara or in Class Dojo. And your students will click the link and they will join your Zoom meeting that way. So no, we will not be pushing the Zoom meeting out or the Google Meet app out to students. All right, so enter your own app here. So let's say there's an app that you like to, or a website, excuse me, that you like to go to often. Maybe you know you're going to be going to this Learning at Home site quite a bit. So, you know, why don't I just go ahead and copy the URL from this Learning at Home site? Or maybe you know you use a dictionary site really often. So I'm just going to go, and maybe for my kids, I use this dictionary.com. And I like to take my students to dictionary.com. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this URL. And that's, by the way, to copy it, you highlight the whole thing by clicking and dragging or clicking 3 times and right-clicking and choosing copy, or doing Control-C on a PC or Command-C on a Mac. Then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to give this app a name, and I'm going to call it Dictionary. Dictionary for me, or something like that. And I'm going to paste the URL right here to dictionary.com. Now, we're not going to request a single sign-on for this application. That goes back to us as a district because we don't need a single, there's no login required. So we don't need a single sign-on. So it's called Dictionary for me. Oops, and it helps if I spell dictionary right. Let me fix it. And dictionary.com. And then it says select an icon. So I'm going to go into their library here of icons. And I'm just going to look maybe for a book icon. And I don't know. That sort of looks, I don't know. And it called it book fairs, so I don't like that it called it that. But I'm going to go ahead. I can change the name of this later as soon as I add it. Or if I click in here, I don't want to call that book fairs. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to call this book fairs. I think that makes it too confusing. I'm going to go back. And when I go to select an icon, let me just select one that's kind of random. Maybe I'll just select this one that says 0. All right. On my home screen, you'll see it says Dictionary for Me, and it has this little 0 icon for it. You do have to select an icon, otherwise it won't go to your home screen. Okay. And notice I've added my own. Like I've got this is my link to Infinite Campus. You know, a different link. This is a link to Infinite Campus. You know, I have some that I've created on my own here that look a little different than others. Student data privacy, this lets me go to the student data privacy website. So this is how you can make your shortcuts for you as a teacher. So Classlink will become your starting place with your students and for yourself for all of your websites and all of your apps. Again, that is under the plus sign. You can add your own app. Or under the plus sign, you can go to the teacher library and find other apps, like maybe you want this CS First or Duolingo. You can add that here. And then as soon as you click out of it, you'll see Duolingo drops to the bottom of your screen. Now to organize it, for example, well, Duolingo, that's an app for students, or it's a curriculum app. So I'm going to click on it and drag it. And I have to, oops, sorry. Let's fix that. Let me fix that. You have to be in editing mode to click and drag, because if you click on it, it will just launch the app, which is what it's supposed to do. So it's sort of like when you're on Smart Notebook and you have to remember to click back on the pencil. Anyway, so I have to be in editing mode, and now I can click on it and I can drag it up to my curriculum folder and drop it in. And now Duolingo is added to my curriculum folder. And I like the folders tell you how many apps you actually have in those folders. So you can start organizing your life this way. You can start dragging things off of your main screen and putting them up into folders and keeping it organized. You can tell I use Classlink a lot because I have a lot of shortcuts in here. Okay. All right. So now that I've added this new app that says Dictionary for Me, I'm going to click on it, and look, it took me to the student dictionary. That's really cool. So again, you can add your shortcuts. The good news is you get to add as many shortcuts as you want. The bad news is students do not have the option to add their own apps. Students will only ever see the student library. They do not see the teacher library or the Palmdale School District library. They only see the student libraries, and they only see the apps we have pushed out to them. Again, if you think there's another app that all the students across the district should have access to, then we can review that. Send it to me, and we'll review it, and I will add it if it's one that, you know, needs to be added for a lot of kids. All right, so if there's an app that I added that I don't want, for example, this one, this dictionary, I've done this dictionary one twice now. So I'm going to go to editing mode. And when I edit, I can click the X, and that will remove the app from my library. There you go, done. Also, while in editing mode, when I hover over this icon, I get the option to edit it, so I can rename it or change the link. I get to X, which deletes it, or I can click the auto launch. And so the little rocket ship will allow this to become an auto launch, meaning every time I, as a teacher, open Classlink, it will auto launch this particular website. When I click auto launch, you'll see what happens in the screen. It adds a little rocket ship down to the name down at the bottom. So the next time I launch Classlink, it will auto launch Dictionary for Me. And what that means is it will just launch a new tab. So all these tabs that come across the top here, it will add a new tab. So Classlink will be in the first tab, but whatever you auto launch will be in the next tab. So auto launch can be nice. So again, if you're a study sync teacher and you know you want to use study sync all the time, you can use that auto launch. If you don't want that to auto launch, you go to the editing mode and you choose the rocket ship again, and it will stop auto launching. There you go. And then I'm going to click out and I'm going to stop editing here. All right, let me double check our chats here. Is there a limit to the number of apps that can be placed in a folder? Nope. So if you want to put hundreds of apps in a folder, go ahead. Have at it. So again, you have some options for personalizing the space, for adding your own apps, for going to the library and adding apps from the library. Students have a little bit more limited access to that than teachers have access. I'm going to review some of the more important parts. Remember, under or next to your picture, there is the down arrow. Click and choose My Profile. This is where you will get things like your sign-in options to connect your Google account, change your passwords in some of those apps that you're using if you need to change your passwords. And those are probably the most important things that you'll have in here. I'm going to show you one more really cool feature of Classlink. And that is something that most people pretty much ignore. And it is at the very bottom of your screen. And I kind of wish they'd push it to the top of the screen to make it more visible. But it is on the very bottom of your screen. And right now we are in the grid view called My Apps. And right next to it is a cloud and it says My Files. And I would like for you to click the cloud and My Files. And it says, Classlink wants to open this application. Please say yes. And what that means is it's activating that little link in your browser. And I want you to take a look in My Files. There's something here that you probably never thought you would have access to at home or off campus. You have full access to your W drive right here in Classlink. And that's really cool. And you also have full access to your Google Drive right here in Classlink. And that is also really cool. So everything that I have in my Google Drive, I can find right here from Classlink, and I have access to. And when I go to School Network, I can see my W drive and I can click on it and I can see all of my files and folders in my W drive. This is really awesome, especially now that a lot of you are working from home. You can have full access to your W drive from home now. Yay! So all of those files you had loaded to your W drive, and we kind of told you, hey, move those over to Google, but maybe you didn't move them all over. You do have access to your W drive now from home, and that will be helpful to you as you're moving forward. And yes, it is very cool. So yes, I know before when I first came to the district, that was one of my frustrations. I'm like, I have all these cool things saved in my W drive, but I can't get them from home. And so as soon as we got Classlink, I was pretty excited about that I had access to both my Google Drive and my W drive. So don't forget what happens when you click on that, it opens another tab at the top. So to get back to your Classlink homepage, you can just click back on this tab. And don't forget that it's down here at the bottom where it says My Files. That is where you can access your W drive, your school drives. If you have access to an X drive, you'll see it here, and your Google Drive. I'm just going to click here. And under Manage Services, this is where you can also connect your Google Drive or disconnect your Google Drive. So right now my Google Drive is connected. I'm leaving it connected. If you haven't yet connected your Google Drive, please click the button that says Connect. If it is connected, leave it alone. So don't click a disconnect button. We want your Google Drive to be connected with this. It will make it easier for you. And up here in Favorites, if you have certain documents that you go to very often and all of these multitudes of folders that you may have, then you can choose Favorites. I'm not going to use it in that way because that's just, it won't be crazy making for me. But you can have your choice. You have some options to upload here, and so if you want to upload new files into this W drive, you can, and even into these folders, etc. Or you can create new ones straight from here. So Google Classlink, gives you more options. It's a really powerful tool. Again, Classlink is the starting point for you and your students. So again, if you are a kinder or first grade teacher, this is going to take a little more work from you if you did not already have your students using Classlink at school. Again, you're going to find your students' 9-digit password. I'm going to go ahead and quick go into, look, making magic happen. Yay, magic. I'm going to go ahead and just quick look up a student here for you to see their 9-digit student number is right here where it says student number. Let me see. So as soon as you pull up a student, there's their student number and here's their birth date. So that's the information you're going to need to give to parents. You're going to need to give them their student number and their birth date. If they're logging into Google, it's their student number followed by @palmdalesd.org. So if they're at home, they're going to need to put all of that in on a home computer. If they're, and then again, the birth date is the same without the slashes. No slashes, just the 8-digit number. Okay, so those of you in kinder and first, this is going to take a little more work for you. I'm hoping that next year, if you're a kinder or first teacher, that maybe early in the school year, you might start your kids in Classlink, and then, you know, hopefully they'll start using it right away, and then they can use it through all of their career through in the Palmdale School District. They'll already be logged in, and then the next year they just know how to log into Classlink, and the year after that, and year after that. So I know that puts a little more work on those kinder and first grade teachers, but it really helps the kids down the line to get into Classlink early on. So I'm done showing you all of Classlink at this point for a refresher, and thanks for joining me. Again, I'm going to resend a document later today. It's a PDF that has nice little digital files. It has video clips to show you most of everything that I've shown you as well. So if you've forgotten, you can go ahead and click on the links on that PDF that will take you out to little video files to show you how to log into Classlink or how to connect your Google Drive, etc. And then, of course, guide your parents to this Learning at Home site and have them click on the directions to log into Classlink for the first time at home. And that will be helpful for them. Again, I'm going to reiterate, we are going to get devices down to our youngest students, our first and kinder students. We just, we're short on manpower right now, and we're moving as fast as we can. So we know that that's a bit of a disappointment for some of our younger students, but please communicate with your parents. The devices will be coming probably in the next couple of weeks. We will open that out to some of our students, our younger students. We just felt the need to try and get that out as fast as we could to our upper grade students, knowing that they've been using these tools daily at school and that they need to get connected with their teachers as fast as they can. If you have younger grade students that don't have access to technology yet, please talk to your site principal. All school sites are receiving some packets for students to do. So maybe if they need more, if your parents want to help their students at home, there are a few packets that they could come to the school to come pick up for their students to do. I know the principals are organizing that right now, and they're probably going to communicate that with you pretty soon. So be a little patient. We're all working as hard as we can to get this done, and we'd like it to be more organized, and it would sure be easier if we could just say, hey, parents, come and pick one up, and we didn't have to worry about that whole social distancing thing. But it really complicates matters a lot more that we can only have a few people with us at a time. So I'll answer a last question, and then I will bid you farewell. It says, if files in the W drive were not converted to Google, can they still be converted, or are they worthless? Well, everything in your W drive is still there. If you'd like to convert them to Google, what you could do in Classlink is go to your files that are in your W drive And you can, let me see if I can click and drag it out to my desktop. I can click and it won't let me drag, but if I go to new, if I choose this, let me see what it lets me do. I don't even know what this is. So it's an expense report, yay. So what I could do is download this file to my desktop and then upload it into Google if I wanted to convert that to a Google document. I can rename it. I can sort these by name, by the way, you know, however you want them sorted. And I can upload a file into here if I need a file from my desktop and I want it uploaded in here. So you do have options to take your stuff out of your W drive and put it into your Google Drive. It would take a little bit of work, but you may not need to do that since you have complete access to your W drive. So you decide what kind of work you want to do at that point. All right, so I'm done showing you everything there is, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and stop recording, but if you still have questions, I'll stay on the line to answer your questions. Thank you for joining me in the Classlink Refresher class, and we'll see you guys hopefully in a Zoom meeting or somewhere else in another webinar. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to stop my share.